In 1966, the Procrastinators Club staged a belated protest against James Madison and the War of 1812, turning delay into satire and gently poking fun at civic ritual. In 1941, Soviet women pilots called night witches flew near-silent biplanes by moonlight, conducting daring harassment raids that unsettled German lines and reshaped courage in wartime skies. In 1917, along India's northwest frontier, camels carried wounded men across harsh valleys and stony tracks, proving indispensable lifelines where motor transport failed amid unforgiving terrain. New York, 1957. Beneath warm lamplight and quiet snowfall, a couple pauses in a small park, capturing winter intimacy and the softer rhythms of a changing post-war city. On July 3, 1942, a dust storm swept Manzanar Relocation Center in California, where Japanese Americans endured confinement, daily routines, and resilience tested by wind, grit, and uncertainty. On August 4, 1960, HMS Vanguard, Britain's last battleship, grounded near the Still and West pub while under tow for scrapping, closing a proud era with an awkward farewell. A century ago, in Detroit's piercing winter, a continuously running fountain froze upward into a 30-foot sculpture of ice, transforming utility into spectacle and neighborhood hardship into wonder. Inside a French trench, 15 minutes of rat hunting produced trophies and relief. At left, a soldier cradles a Jack Russell Terrier, steadfast partner against filth and disease. High above Manhattan, the Renaissance Circus Trio balances on Rockefeller Center, trading jokes with gravity as the 1930s skyline turns risk and rehearsal into a breath-holding public performance. The world's largest airship of its day met catastrophe, a fiery collapse that exposed the fragility of early ambitions and rewrote public faith in grand aerial travel. Athens, 1896. 3 runners sprint at the first modern Olympics, ancient rituals reborn as international sport, launching a movement turning classical ideals into global pageantry, rivalry, and national pride. Anglo-Boer War, South Africa. Boer Railway Patrol scouts vital lines, guarding bridges and culverts as guerrilla columns strike, proving rail control decided logistics, morale, and the campaign's relentless tempo. Western Front, 1918. British tanks grind forward, steel tracks flattening abandoned German helmets, war's litter becoming a roadway toward armistice, an image of ruin redirected toward uneasy, hard-won peace. Hanoi, October 26, 1967. After his A-4 Skyhawk was downed, U.S. Navy pilot John McCain was captured at Truck Bok Lake, beginning captivity that later shaped his public life. In 1929, a rare classroom on human biology unfolds. Students study diagrams, dispelling taboos with candid instruction as reformers push modern health education into conservative halls of discipline and decorum. Upper Silesia, August 1920. Polish insurgents and German forces clash during the Second Uprising. Rail yards, pits, and towns contested, foreshadowing plebiscite struggles over borders, identity, and post-war sovereignty. 2 tirailleurs Senegalais stand to attention, faces from West Africa on Europe's fronts, among roughly 200,000 colonial soldiers whose endurance, paybooks and graves map an empire's promises and unfinished debts. Saudi Arabia, 1979–1980. After the Grand Mosque seizure, captured militants await judgment. Investigations, televised confessions, and subsequent executions cemented state authority while revealing religious fissures and regional anxieties. United States, 1927. A police raid unmasks criminals dressed as women amid Prohibition-era vice, blurring performance and deception while newspapers sensationalize morality, urban crime, and the decade's unstable order. In a mountain village, a 106-year-old Armenian woman grips a rifle, wrinkles like cartography, embodying communal defense, memory, and survival where wars return and elders become sentinels of threatened homes. On July 28, 1945, carrier bombers struck Haruna at Kure. 8 hits sank her at moorings, closing Japan's battlecruiser era and littering the inland sea with imperial shipwrecks. In 1953, America, students steered mechanical driving simulators, pedals clacking, wheels humming, classrooms becoming cockpits for post-war modernity as rising car culture demanded safer roads, standardized instruction, and mass mobility. A trainee soldier collapses after gas exposure, a staged exercise revealing real peril. 20th-century armies rehearsed catastrophe so medics, masks, and doctrine might blunt weapons forbidden yet repeatedly unleashed. Young Winston Churchill stares down the lens, ambition coiled, rhetoric forming, foreshadowing the wartime orator who would marshal language into armor, rally democracies, and steady Britain through bombardment and doubt. In liberated camps, Jewish survivors hoisted the Zionist flag, cloth trembling like breath, asserting dignity, remembrance, and a future homeland after genocide, as displaced persons organized convoys, kibbutzim, and clandestine sailings. Marketed by Bayer as a soothing remedy, heroin coursed through medicine cabinets before addiction's wreckage forced global prohibition, transforming a vaunted pharmaceutical into a cautionary emblem of scientific promise misread. In 1912, photographs of revealed Machu Picchu reached the world. Stone terraces, mist, and Andean silence, igniting archaeology's imagination and recasting Inca engineering as a mountainous citadel of endurance and ritual. Early 1900s America. A boy straddles a saddled pig, rains taut, barnyard dust swirling, playfulness turning poverty's familiarity into adventure. A snapshot where scarcity and imagination happily share reigns. In 1980, Bob Marley's late portraits captured resilience. On his birthday in 2015, Jamaica decriminalized ganja, an echoing reform entwining cultural legacy, spiritual practice, and post-colonial policy debates. Le Mans, 1953. Nash Healy and Austin Healy thunder past pits through dusk and rain. Endurance racing distilling Europe's post-war appetite for engineering bravura, aerodynamic experimentation, and commercial resurrection. During World War II, Rita Hayworth's pin-up portrait traveled in rucksacks and barracks, a morale booster fusing Hollywood glamour with homesick endurance, defining wartime longing and America's soft power. Kimberley, 1954. De Beers miners were X-rayed after each shift. An intrusive ritual revealing apartheid's coercion. Industrial surveillance, policing bodies to safeguard diamonds while reinforcing racial hierarchy and corporate power. Photographed in 1936, a Syracuse-born train glides through soot and steel. Depression-era elegance forged by necessity. Streamlined engineering moving workers, mail, and hope along rails that stitched America's cities together. Germany, 1930, police model experimental bulletproof shields and vests, emblems of interwar unease as Weimar authorities modernized against street violence, political militias, and crises foreshadowing the Republic's catastrophic unraveling. In 1975, Operation Babylift airlifted orphaned Vietnamese infants to America. Rescue entwined with evacuation chaos, custody controversies, and lifelong questions about identity, belonging, and the human costs of war. Harold Lloyd's Green Acres, 1953. Marilyn Monroe poses poolside, sunlight and turquoise, framing a star ascending. Studio publicity forging the enduring icon of post-war glamour, vulnerability, and meticulously engineered celebrity. Piccadilly Circus, 1938. A hotel commissionaire chats with a dachshund, amid buses and neon. An affectionate pause, revealing London's theatre of civility, humor, and companionship on the eve of upheaval. Austria, 1899. A schoolroom portrait places young Adolf Hitler in the top row. An ordinary child whose dictatorship would devastate Europe, reminding how classrooms can precede history's catastrophic choices. New York, 1945. Betty Lou Oliver survived a 75-story elevator plunge in the Empire State Building. A chain of failures and rescues turning catastrophe into legend and an improbable miracle. Germany, 1908. Seventh graders at a humanistic gymnasium pose stiffly for the camera. Latin primers, discipline, and civic ideals arranged in rows, educating professionals who would soon face an altered continent. Emaciated after Andersonville, a near-starved Union soldier embodies the Civil War's abyss. Scurvy, dysentery, starvation, evidence of systemic neglect, overcrowding, and the lethal arithmetic of prisoner exchanges collapsed nationwide. Anzio's Muddy Fields, 1944. German prisoners trudge beneath Allied rifles, defeat etched on faces. Attrition, air power, and seaborne logistics tilt Italy's campaign, foreshadowing the Reich's accelerating collapse. Multnomah Falls, 1918. A white veil drops through basalt amphitheaters. Columbia Gorge grandeur captured as America turns cameras toward protected parks, conservation ideals, and the nation's devotion to spectacular landscapes. Southern France, August 23, 1944. C-47S spill parachutes over Provence, men and crates stippling the sky. Operation Dragoon accelerating liberation, opening ports, and squeezing Germany from another front toward retreat. Lakehurst, 1937. The Hindenburg ignites and folds itself, hydrogen roaring into daylight, an emblem of shattered confidence that ended Zeppelin luxury and redirected aviation's future toward airframes and safer fuels. Northern Sweden, 1904. A Sami family stands before reindeer and sleds, resilience stitched into clothing, testimony to indigenous stewardship, migrations, and cultural survival across the Arctic, despite pressure to assimilate. South Carolina, December 1860. The Ordinance and Declaration of Secession sever ties with Union, triggering cascade of departures that turned constitutional argument into mobilization, war, and a redefined nation. Hiroshima, 1945. City flattened to ash. Survivors carry burns, shadows, and grief. An image insisting that nuclear war's flash becomes generations-long suffering, moral reckoning, and an unfinished plea for restraint. Munich, May 1919. German soldiers pose with teenager misidentified as a Bavarian Soviet official. Photograph foreshadowing his murder amid counter-revolution, White Guard reprisals, and the Weimar Republic's birth in blood.